Hi and welcome back to Tanto's YouTube channel. This is the second installment of the Clairefontaine ingres pastel paper test. It is 360 GSM. I just did a pencil drawing on the other half and I was quite happy how this worked. This mess over here is pastel pencil and I was again less than impressed how that worked, but I think that is more because of the nature of the pencils than the paper. But I quite liked using pencils on it, colored pencils. So to be fair to all these paper, I do both the test I just did with colored pencils and pastel pencils. But that's not what the paper was meant for, so I think it's only fair to also test it for as it was supposed to be used with pastels. So I do a test with dry pastels or soft pastels and oil pastels on it too. So I'll pause the camera and I'll grab some soft pastels. For this I am using my Royal Talens Rembrandt half stick soft pastel set. It is a professional arts quality soft pastel, so it's suitable for this test. Use proper materials to test this for. I was trying with the last kind of paper to do a broccoli that worked kind of okay with the soft pastel, but not so good with the oil pastel. And I think I'll just be right down boring and do another apple once again. I love making drawing apples. So let's grab a little bit of different ones here and put the tray away and hope the cat won't get into it. Oh, and I need a wet wipe or just a wet cloth. When it's with soft pastels, you can just have a cloth wetted with some water. If you are using oil pastels and you get it on your hands, it's a little easier to wipe off if there's a little bit of soap on your cloth as well. Either hand soap or dish soap, it doesn't really matter. So apples are so fun to draw because they come in all kinds of shapes and stuff. So even if you manage to draw kind of a really wonky, crooked apple, you can just say, well, my subject was like that. And it's a bad habit of mine to use my fingers to smudge my pastels. But as I have said in my other videos, this is just like a test, so it's not like a huge fancy sales piece where I'm destroying it in advance and with my filthy fingers. I should use a paper stump or a color shaper or something like that. And I'm kind of covering everything with some color here because I want to see if I can draw on a highlight later on top of the darker colors that I put on. Pastels, soft pastels, and and oil pastels is really something where you can feel the difference between the student grade and the art grades. Student grades are often made with chalk in them, so they're chalky pastels, so that gives them a very dry and sometimes scratchy feel. And whereas if you go up in the art grades, they're usually made with maybe still a bit of chalk, but often they also it's used with Caroline. It's a clay mineral. You know it from porcelain. Porcelain is white porcelain or china is made from Caroline clay. So it's a fine white clay mineral, and when it's used for soft pastels, it makes them glide better on the paper, so they don't feel as scratchy to use as if it's just chalk that is in there. Plus, it also gives the color, allows a better vibrancy for the color. The color stands out clearer when it is Caroline. But Caroline costs a lot more to buy for the producers than chalk does. So that is part of what you pay extra for. It is simply that they use more expensive materials to produce your art supplies with. So this paper, I quite like this. Overall, there's lots of the Clairefontaine papers I like to use. I got their mixed media pads as well, and I quite like that as well. I think it's a very accomplished paper company. So I'm not surprised that I like this. It's also quite heavy, so it gets something behind it. I like the heavyweight papers for pretty much everything, because the more paper you got, the more paper fiber you got under your materials, the better they take things like the scrubbing and rubbing and wetting and whatever else. Thin papers is a little bit of a challenge sometimes. Although I have to say, I've done my Inktober on my Pro Color marker pad, and I mean that's only 75 GSM, and so that's really thin. But it has actually worked out quite well for me. So it's not always the weight on its own. But often, and also if you're doing kind of a piece that you want to hang on to, and I just think that this is one of my good pieces, not just a practice piece. It's also nice to do it on something that feels like it will last. Don't like if it have a permanent drawing on something that feels like tissue paper. So this is quite a lot smeared. Now if I was to do a background for this, it doesn't really matter that it smears out a little bit, because I can show you, these cover previous layers really well. So you can go in and use your background to define the edges of what you just did. So you can go forth and back working on things, and it's actually quite okay if the colors kind of mix a little bit over an area, because it brings the brings the background and the subject together. Because it gets kind of a color community, or what, I don't know, there's probably a fancy professional word for that, but it makes them belong together. I actually feel like trying to add a little bit of the colored pencil here too. I don't know, colored pencil, pastel pencil. No, it's still. I can go in and make some details, but it really have to go on last, because they are so hard and they just really scrub into the previous layers. Let me say it this way: Derwent can get a lot of my money, but they won't come in from me buying more of the pastel pencils. I think they're too hard. And it's the only pastel pencils I got. I haven't tried the ones from Conti and from Faber-Castell. I would expect that I might like the ones from Faber-Castell, because that company still has not produced anything that I was really negatively surprised of. See, this is what happens when you don't kind of overlap your colors. It can be, you risk to get kind of white rims around your stuff. So now if I put some more of the red here, and I kind of blend it in with the background a little bit. Go in and overlap a little bit with the purple here. That white will disappear, and I can still go in and then define my edge with the background color. And then I got rid of that white halo. Yeah, now I contaminated the top of the apple, but I can still color on top of what I already did. The high-end pastels, they layer so well, so you can just keep on covering mistakes. You can keep on correcting stuff. Now a little bit of the yellow I started with. Going in. So it's a forgiving media when it's a good quality pastel. Then you got, see here, it's not white, it's actually really pale pink. See, I can go in and put it right on top of the dark. So I can go in now, even if I forgot my highlight, I could go in and make some later. And yeah, this paper is just holding up beautifully. I quite like this paper. the pastel has this really nice matte finish to it as well. Pastels are fantastic for making portraits and stuff because they got that matte soft finish. So let me see if I can kind of make this look like a finished drawing. I could sit here for a long time just going forth and back and trying to perfect things, make no mistakes, correct them. And I got lots and lots and lots of tooth in the paper left. Not a problem. So it's kind of funny. On my screen this looks a lot more like peach than an apple. But on my paper it definitely looks like an apple. To the so see, and I can cover that stripe up again. So absolutely really good for soft pastels, as I expected. I mean, there was a well-known art company who put their name on the sample pack. I mean, Jackson's didn't pick 6 pieces of crappy paper to put in a sample pack because they got lots more pastel paper than this, so I expect that they kind of took some of their prime. Yeah, now I want to write in Danish. So, good pastel paper. And it's actually a little bit smoother on the other side, but not by a lot. I'll put these away and get some Sennelier oil pastels out. So, we are ready with the stickies. The Sennelier oil pastels are really, really soft and sticky. It is incredible. It makes them very easy to work with, actually. But you get dirty fingers. Sennelier, Mongoy, Caran d'Ache are the ones I can think of that I know make artist grade oil pastels, but it is not a very popular media, so the other larger companies at best makes it as their student grade oil pastels. Royal Talens has them as in their Van Gogh line, and they're quite decent, don't get me wrong, but it's still, they haven't decided to make it upscale them to art quality or artist quality. And I'm not quite sure why. Maybe they think that the ones they got are good enough, but I don't know. I think it's a kind of an overlooked and underappreciated medium. It has been developed it might also have a historical thing, because it was developed as a way to make some quick pre-studies for oil paintings. So you could kind of test out some ideas on paper or cardboard or whatever you had available before you committed into making a painting on a canvas. Because canvas is, and was in previous times even more so, quite an investment. It takes a lot of work to produce a canvas. Now you can of course paint over things if you don't like what you did on your canvas, but still it's still nice to be able to play around, because also it's an investment of time, because oil paints takes a while to dry. So if you have made a full oil painting and you go, that composition just didn't really work out, you already invested a lot of time in making the painting. So that might actually also have something to do with that. It's considered kind of a second rank art medium. I got the same thing, the same feeling kind of with graphite. I consider graphite to be something I use for sketches and studies and stuff. I don't think I ever finished anything in graphite that I considered like a finished piece. I've done lots of drawings and sketches and stuff, but I would never hang up a graphite pencil drawing and frame it or anything like that. So I'm not just my own. I wouldn't even buy a graphite pen drawing from somebody. There's people who make really good drawings, don't get me wrong, but it's I guess I'm an art snob, but it's just when I look at it, I think, yeah, sketch it. And it's got nothing to do with the skill of the artist. Two things to tip in here, 2 seconds. Because, as I said, some really, really super skilled people have done some amazing graphite work. And it's often guys, so I wonder if it's male artist with maybe some kind of, it's easier for them if they have, if they're born with color blindness. They just have to, they don't have to worry about grabbing the wrong color and people go, ooh. So, now, normally I would do this on a different sheet of paper, but sometimes you have to clean up your tip. I think it's okay to do this with oil pastels as well. that's a little bit of dust from my desk. I don't see the oil soaking through quite yet. It's not a problem if it does. It is just something I'm curious about because I'm used to oil pastels actually soaking through my paper. But I noticed that the one I did a while back on Methane's paper, that it didn't do it quite as bad. Or if at all, I don't even remember. And I forgot where I put the drawing, so I can't really find it to test what it was. I think it's a little warm today for these. They're really sticky, more than usual. We've had a couple of warm days. And the fat and oils that are in oil pastels are very susceptible to heat. I don't use these in the summertime, and especially not in a heat wave summer like we just had. I nearly went and actually took them out and put them in the fridge to make sure they didn't melt away and become too weird. So if you live in the tropical area, the oil pastels might be a little difficult for you to use. They work best in temperatures around 20 centigrades. So, yeah. And a lot of pastels you can actually do kind of the same thing as I did with the soft pastel, where you mix and blend the edges together. So you can cover it over with another layer. That is actually one of the hallmarks of a good quality pastel, regardless of what kind, is that they should work like oil painting or acrylic painting, and be able to layer it nicely on top of light on dark. Should be nice and opaque. One thing about the Sennelier that is also very nice for oil pastels is that they don't crumble. They don't make crumbles. Lots of cheaper brands, they leave a lot of sticky crumbles when you use them, and it is so annoying because they're sticky. They kind of stick to your drawing, and you can't really remove them. It's difficult to remove without making it streak like crazy. So that's really nice with this, but you get dirty fingers. But it's quite a nice way to kind of test, if you like, how oil paintings look and feel and what, before you go out and buy oil paints. You can, if you want them to be more thin, you can just use a little bit of turpentine or a little bit of oil or something to pick them up with, and make them more like a paint, and you can apply it to paper or canvas or whatever you like. So yeah. They work just fine. I'm getting some of this, that's for sure. I believe all the ingres papers comes in different colors as well. which can be very nice to work with. If you get in mid-tones or dark tones and stuff, you don't have to add those colors to your drawing. You just leave it there. But absolutely, I quite like this paper. That's a thumbs up. So thank you for watching, and I'll be back with more tests. Take care. Bye bye.